Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, now, as we watch the self-imposed decline of Kanye West, I think we can grieve for what he could have been and what we wished that he would have been. But he seems to have gone on a trajectory that we could not have anticipated. Many Black Americans have tried to understand him, have tried to support him, and he has thrown it back in our faces and continued on his downward spiral that seems to be leading to his professional demise. He says that he is medically diagnosed as bipolar, so that's manic depressive, and that is erratic and impulsive behavior. So some of his behavior is due to that. Some of it is ego. And some people say it's narcissism. And it certainly seems to be that. So there are reasons why he behaves the way he does. But the effects of what he does are not minimized by the fact that he has a mental disorder. The things that he says and does are still hurtful. Kanye West, at his best, is an interesting person. He has charisma, and he does have some musical ability. I would not call him a genius, but he does have musical ability. And the world is watching. The world is watching his decline, and because of social media, everybody knows what's happening with him. So a viewer or subscriber asked me to speak on Kanye West and asked me what do Black Americans think about him. And I think the viewer was from Africa, but she wanted to know what Black Americans think about what's happening with him. I certainly do not speak for Black Americans, but there are a lot of Black Americans who see things pretty much the way I see them. And I thought about that for a day or two, and several things have happened since she asked that question. But what I can say, and I do believe I speak for many African Americans, we loved him, but he broke our hearts. It really is sort of that simple. We loved him. When he came out with College Dropout, the album, in 2004, I love the album. I was still listening to rap music then. I love the album. Kanye West was fresh. He was charismatic. Had that kind of quirky look. He was intelligent, clean cut, and he loved his mother. On the Through the Fire album and the video, he sampled Shaka Khan, Through the Fire, which I really liked that record too. So I was happy to see that record remade in some way. And in the video, Jay-Z introduced him to the audience, and he came up and he seemed humble and he seemed appreciative. And I was just mesmerized by Kanye West. I'm going to admit that. And so we were just so hopeful that he was going to be a voice, not the voice, but a voice of reasoning, of putting rap music in a decent place where it should be, because it was even then starting to gear off into this so-called gangster rap. So he looked like he was going to be kind of a role model. At least that's what I hoped. And I think a lot of Black Americans hoped the same thing. So Kanye West got off to a good start in music, and it looked like he was going to be a good representative of what Black American music has always stood for in the world and why people like it, because of its excellence, its sophistication, and its appeal to both men and women. I think many of us thought that he was going to be able to uphold the standard of Black American music in the rap genre. Rap was a new music form, its personality hadn't fully developed yet, and it hadn't gotten the recognition that it deserved. So Kanye West comes on the scene, young and seemingly full of ideas, and it looked like he was going to be able to add character to the music form. So Kanye West was the it guy. He was a rising star on the music scene. Everybody was talking about him. People were listening to his music and talking about, what a great rapper he was. He even had a black girlfriend. And that really resonates with Black Americans. We do like to see it. So everything seemed to be working right for Kanye West. But somewhere along the way, things started going off the rails. The first sign of trouble was in 2005. Hurricane Katrina had done devastating damage to the state of Louisiana, and there was a hurricane relief concert in which Kanye West got up and said that President George Bush didn't care about black people. That was the first sign that Kanye West didn't know how to behave in public. People talked about it for a while, but black people, being forgiving, said he was just having an emotional moment. He was really upset that so many black people had been displaced and had been affected by Hurricane Katrina. So that was just a moment. That was not something he was going to do all the time. So he went back to being Kanye. For particular groups of black people, they thought that was great. He was speaking up for black people. But for conservative black people, they did not see that as a proper response to that disaster. They did not see him getting up trying to shame the president as appropriate. That has to be noted. Even so, we still loved him. Also in 2007, Kanye West's mother died suddenly of a heart attack after cosmetic surgery, and everybody agrees that this was devastating to him, and it was a turning point in his life. It has made a tremendous difference in his life. I think everybody acknowledges that. In 2008, Kanye West started showing up with Amber Rose, a stripper or a former stripper, and that was a red flag for me because that was the sign of a black man headed for destruction. Then in 2009, at the VMA Awards, Taylor Swift won for Best Female Video of the Year. While she was giving her acceptance speech, Kanye West storms the stage, snatches the microphone from her, and starts railing about Beyonce having one of the best videos. That was another sign that Kanye West did not know how to behave in public. But his behavior was excused because everybody was saying that he was still grieving over his mother. And he went back to being Kanye, and everybody went back to admiring him. I think some pressure was even put on Taylor Swift to just let it go. So he's exhibiting all of this erratic behavior, and people are saying, oh, that's just Kanye being Kanye. Some people think he was being cute. They really did. And so Kanye was getting away with stuff that he really should not have been getting away with from the beginning. But the reason he was able to get away with this for so long is that some people didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing. I heard a black man say just the other day that he thought the incident with Taylor Swift was staged. And the question that you would have to ask if you are a black American, when anybody produce a script in which a white man would jump up on a stage and grab a microphone from a young white woman while she was giving an acceptance speech for winning an award, and if the answer is no, then they wouldn't stage it for a black man either. That's just plain delusional. So there are people who are still trying to justify his behavior or make excuses for him. That was not staged. He did that impulsively, and it was out of order. Now, there was a faction in black America who was saying that there's something not right here. Something is not right. First of all, at that award show, it looked like he was sitting up there drinking liquor during the show. That's what it kind of looked like. I'm not sure what he was drinking, but he was doing that. So that was out of order right there. So some people were starting to think that something wasn't quite right with Kanye West. So then we started to think, okay, something's going wrong with Kanye West. And then came the Kardashians. And for many black American women, that was their sign to get out of the fan club. Because if Amber Rose was a deterrent, Kim Kardashian would be the downfall. Now, I'm going to say that the split between Kanye West and black America came after he got involved with Kim Kardashian. And I'm not blaming her for it either, because it was his responsibility to understand who he was, and he did not. And I believe that's as much a part of his problem as any kind of bipolar disorder or ego or narcissism. He does not know who he is. Black men in particular seem to think that if they can play a sport well enough, if they can get enough fame and that they can get enough money, that they can overcome the blackness, that they can become a white man, or they can become somebody different. And nobody thinks like that but them. And it ultimately becomes their downfall. There are many African American men in the United States who are very successful, who are grounded, and who still understand that we are still in the land of our captivity. We don't have chains on us. We don't have the slavery title, but we're still in the land of our captivity. And they don't understand that, and they think they can grow out of it. They think they can erase themselves. They think they can get with a white woman. Now, this is my belief, and this is what's been documented by many. They believe that they can overcome that status of a black American man by marrying a white woman, by playing basketball or football or whatever sport they're playing, by becoming a celebrity, an entertainer, and by making a lot of money. And so they disconnect from the black community, and the first thing they do if they're a black man is they start demeaning and degrading black women to disassociate themselves from us. And that's what Kanye West did. And he went on, there are still people, even black women, some, who still tried to support him, who still loved him. Because remember, we started out loving him. And when you love somebody and you develop an emotional attachment to that person, it takes a long time to disentangle yourself from that person. And that's what we have experienced in Black America, even as he has spit in our faces. Attacking by going after things that he knows are very sensitive and in some cases very hurtful. Telling us slavery was a choice. Telling us that white lives matter more than black lives. That's what it came across as. Telling us that George Floyd and the whole world got involved in that. But he's going to override a coroner's report and what forensic scientists say, and say that he didn't die from what they said he died from. He didn't die from being murdered by having somebody put his knee on his neck for 9 minutes. He died from fentanyl poisoning. And he's going to make that diagnosis himself and then give us the middle finger if we disagree with him. And other things like going after black women, making a point of trying to embarrass black women in public around white people. This is what we have put up with for a long time because it started out as a love affair. I want to inject this at this moment. Whenever these black men, many of them, and I won't say all, it's never all, but it's enough people who do things for it to be a problem, and that's why people generalize. But for these black men who go after these other races of women, I believe that it is required that they demean and diminish black women at every public opportunity. And Kanye West has certainly been guilty of doing that. And this needs to be said too, because we don't talk about this publicly in Black America. There was a time when black people thought, black Americans thought that if we made and married with white people, that's going to make everything better and we're going to get along better and it's just going to make us all equal. There was a time we thought that. And a lot of black men praise other black men and slap them on the back and you got a good one, you got one when they get with a white woman. That's hurtful to black women, but that's what they do. That's a big deal when they get with a white woman, but everybody was thinking that way at one time. I'm not sure that all black women were thinking that, but I grew up with that. Oh, he got a white woman. Oh, he got a white woman. He got a white woman. But the whole idea is that it's going to make things better for everybody. And we have found out over time that just isn't true. The black person does not get any better. The black person is really more diminished in the eyes of white people, and I'm going to say it that way because I really believe it. The white person seems to look upon that black person as one that has been conquered. He's not a problem. Go over there and sit down, and you just know a boy now. They just see that black man as a boy. They don't see him as a man who has respect for himself, who cares about his people, and that he is working toward his own liberation. White people don't see that. I believe black men think that white people see them in a higher light, that the white woman has elevated him. In fact, in the eyes of white men, that black man is more diminished than he would be if he was with a black woman. So he bought into that. And again, you have to do the work on yourself if you're a black American, if you're not brought up in the right home environment. So with the coming of Kim Kardashian and her clan, it seems like Kanye West went on a quest to become a white man. That is what it seems like he was trying to do. I'm going to raise my status to that of a white man. I'm not black anymore. My children aren't black. I don't deal with black unless they can help me in some way. That seemed to be his modus operandi. So then we see him in 2016. Now he's a Republican. Now he's going to make America great again with Donald Trump, knowing full well that this was a move that black people saw as treasonous. But he did not care, because now he's on the trajectory to become a white man. Now that is what it appeared to many of us. And as I said before, we loved him, but he broke our hearts. And becoming associated with Donald Trump was one of the straws that broke the camel's back for many black Americans. Now there are black American Republicans, and some of them are respectful. My family started out being Republican. My father was a Republican. My husband's father was a Republican. So we were Republicans before white people were Republicans, really, before these southern white people were Republicans. But there came a time when the Republican Party kicked us out. So we got out, and most of us have stayed out. But now, if you want to offend black people, you want to get a name for yourself, then you start trashing black people, doing like Kanye West has done, and letting black people know, I have no respect for you. I don't have any use for you now. I'm white. I'm white. I'm over here with the white people. I'm a Republican. Now, after he got on that Republican bandwagon, many black Americans were through with Kanye West. They saw what he was about, and they said, okay, I'm done. But because he knew that black people loved him, every time he got into some trouble or said something or did something, then he would come back trying to pretend that he was doing something for black America. Now all of a sudden his children are black, after saying that they weren't, and he didn't want them to identify as black. But then when he found out, there is a gate that white people keep, and good for them, that you get up to that gate and you think you're going to push your way in, and the gatekeeper says, no, this is as far as you go and no further. So then you have to turn back. So when he comes back and regroups, he comes back and tries to appeal to the black American community. Oh, my black children, or somebody about against black people, or because I'm a black man and all of that. But then he's just doing that. That's just a game that he's playing. But he goes right back to that gate, trying to get through that white gate. And sometimes he can get a little bit of traction, like he got the deal with Adidas, he got the deal with Gap, he's doing fashion shows and all of this. Then white lives matter. Black lives don't matter anymore, because now I'm over here with these white people at this fashion show. But then he gets mad at somebody. Chase Manhattan Bank kicked him out of their bank. Now you have to know, those people didn't just throw him out of that bank for no reason. Chase Manhattan Bank in New York City severed their ties with Kanye West and told him that he needed to find somewhere else to do his banking. Now you have to know something happened for them to do that. So now he's going to throw a temper tantrum and go and tweet something mean and disrespectful about the Jewish people. And that's where he met his match. They don't play this disrespectful game. They don't disrespect each other, and they don't let anybody else disrespect them. You're not going to get on a social media platform and tweet something mean about them just because you're sleepy, or just because you're mad, or just because something didn't go your way. They don't play that. And we shouldn't either. And there are still black Americans who are hoodwinked by Kanye West. Some of them think that this is some brilliant strategy that he has going with the Jewish people to expose white supremacy. How dumb do you have to be White supremacy has never been in hiding. All you have to do is go back and look at the laws that have been passed in the United States. Go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. And everything in that museum shows you the power of white supremacy. So white supremacy has never been in hiding. But Kanye West dug his own grave, running his mouth, going around here saying anything about anybody. The reason his arrogance spilled over into the Jewish community is because we didn't check Kanye West. We have resources in the African American community, and we could have leveraged that behavior if we had wanted to, but we didn't really want to, because he's a black man, and the minute you try to chastise him or discipline him or call him on the carpet for what he's doing, there would be cries from the black community calling you a sellout or saying he's just a black man trying to make it in America and everybody's against him. So your hands are always tied when you're trying to correct behavior from people like Kanye West. So now, you go up against people who don't feel sorry for you because you have had opportunities that the average American, white or black or any other race, has not had. And you're going to come up here and think you can insult people to get your way. I'm just going to insult you. And that's going to get me my way. Well, he just really picked on the wrong group of people. Black people are disappointed in Kanye West, just like black people are disappointed in a lot of black people, especially black men who become successful. They forget who they are. Many of them will display a disdain for black people, and they have a delusion about becoming white or becoming on some kind of parity with white men when white men are not even thinking about them. And anyway, what's so great about being a white man? What's wrong with being a decent, upstanding black man? Black men have their gifts and talents and their own special brand of magic. What's wrong with being a black man? And that's the glitch in black America. Black men who think they're better by striving to be white men. Kanye West is slowly being stripped of everything that he has worked so hard to achieve. He has lost the trophy wife. So goes the wife, so goes the children. He has lost his business connections. There's a long list of companies that have dropped Kanye West, including Adidas, Balenciaga, Creative Artists Agency, Foot Locker, Gap, and many, many more. I just read on Twitter that he took his Yeezy tennis shoes brand to Skechers, I always get it wrong, and they basically escorted him away from the door, wouldn't even let him in the door. Now this is how delusional he is. Black men think he has a grand strategy, but he's still going back to the gate, trying to get in the gate, begging white people to take on his brand, and what they're saying is, your brand is not welcome here. So it's over for him, and he doesn't realize it. How do black Americans feel about Kanye West? We loved him, but for many, the love affair is over. Black Americans have a shared history, a shared culture, and a shared experience. And we have always supported each other, especially when one does well. But now it has come to the point that people think they don't need black Americans. They'll pull up on your shoulders to get to a certain point, and then they kick you to the curb. And I think that we need to be prepared for the next Kanye West. We need to have a collective strategy for people who use their blackness, our culture, our history, and our advocacy and support to get to the point that white people want them and white people feel that they can market them to a greater market. Now they're going to kick us to the curb. We need to be ready for the next Kanye West, and we need to be prepared to act. It's a lot you can get done if you're organized. You don't even need everybody. You just need enough people who who agree with you and who agree that this is what we're going to do the next time somebody goes public trying to humiliate or embarrass us, or take issues that are very personal and very sensitive to us and try to make mockery of them. We need to be ready for that person. And there are black people who are saying, well, they didn't do anything when he said what he said about George Floyd, or they didn't do anything when he said slavery was a choice. But it's not for the Jews to take their power to fight our battles. It's for us to fight our battles. We are a $1.6 trillion economy in the United States. That has to count for something. So if we use the power that we have, it just might turn out to be enough. So what do black Americans think about Kanye West? We loved him. But for many, the love affair is over. He has shown us the ugly side of fame and money. And though he does seem to have a mental disorder, this is a cautionary tale for anybody who has a medical problem and has been prescribed medication. You do need to take your medicine, because you're having a medical problem that you're not managing is not going to excuse bad behavior. You are a grown person. You're still responsible for what you do and what you say. Now, if the people who have brought him down decide to give him a break so he can start climbing back up, and I don't think he'll ever get back to where he was, but we need to be watching him very closely so he doesn't use us to try to build himself back up. Because if he gets anywhere near where he was, he's going to do the same thing. He's the same person, and I don't believe he has it in him to change. So we do have to keep an eye out for him. Okay, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.